Right, good afternoon, councillors and staff, and a special welcome to the gallery, being the Central Western Daily, Emily. So welcome to our ordinary council meeting for April. Please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being recorded and live streamed. Please assure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Combined Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. I'll call the first item, which is item number 1, applications for leave for absence. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, second by Councillor Nash. We have a full quota here today, which is excellent. So there's no leave of absence, so I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. Do we have anything to declare? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have a conflict for item number 11 as I'm on the Field Days Committee.
Thank you. Item 11, Field Days. Yep. Councillor Poole.
Yep, item 10-2, page 11 and 12. With my other hat, I've spent a bit of time at Canowna Preschool, giving some advice and volunteer work, so I'll step out of the room.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Anybody else have anything to declare at all? No? All right, thank you. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 3 is declarations for political donations. Could I first have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Batten, was it?
Happy to do that.
Yeah, thank you. I just saw a hand there, that was all. I assumed it was yours. Does anybody have any declarations for political donations at all?
No.
Thank you, everybody. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 4 is the mayoral minute of appointments. I'll table a report into my appointments for the previous month. I believe Councillor Rawson has also forwarded me a report too. Before I ask for anybody else, I'd just like to thank everybody for their involvement yesterday at Anzac Day ceremonies across the Shire. The reports that I've received at the locations I wasn't at was that they're all very well attended and great numbers with a cross-section of young and elderly people. And as I said, well attended, so thank you everybody for... It was probably our first time that we've had back into the 9 councillors where we had to be stretched a little bit across the entire Shire because of times running into each other, and we got there, and it was noted to me at a couple of the functions I went to that the other councillors were present, and they were very much appreciated of being there. So well done everybody, and it was a very good day yesterday. Does anybody else have anything for the mayoral minute?
I'll just table a document, please. Report, please, Mr Mayor.
Thank you,
Activities, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Jones. Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Weaver.
If I could, Mr Mayor. Yes, it's in regard to Anzac Day, and it was well supported. But I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Canowna Fire Brigade for setting up and pulling down of chairs and trestle tables and everything else that was needed to set up the park and so forth for the event itself. They do a terrific job and they don't get recognised all that often. Thank you.
Thank you, well said. Anybody else have anything for the mayoral minute? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 5 is the Committee of the Whole section of the meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody wish to call anything into the Committee of the Whole? Nothing? Nothing at all? All happy? All right, very good. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 6 is the confirmation of the minutes. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Batten, seconded by, I saw a hand somewhere there, councillor Nash, yep, thank you. Everybody's happy with the minutes? Yep. I'll put that, all those in favour? Against, that is carried. Item 7 is confirmation of the committee meeting minutes. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Rawson, thank you. Councillor Jones has seconded that. Anybody wish to speak against that, or any comment on the confirmation of the minutes? Everybody's happy with that? All silence is good. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 8 is payment of superannuation contributions for councillors. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Oldham, seconded by councillor Nash. Does anybody wish to speak against it? Nobody speaking against it? Everybody, anybody, anyone have any discussion on it at all? No? You can ask a question.
Yes, if I could just ask a question. This is not something you have to do, is it, as a councillor? Or does council decide this and then everybody's got to do it?
Good question.
Thought so.
A very good question. I'm not sure, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, the way it reads,
Yeah.
part of it says, you know, it's your choice, and then the other part of it says it's council's decision. So I'd like a clarification.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr Chair, just drawing your attention to the paragraph in the report that says individual councillors may opt out of receiving a contribution. Councillors must do so in writing. So I believe you do have the individual opportunity to opt out.
I've just got a comment, Mr Mayor. It really won't impact us very much at all. It's mainly for the other councils where they work a lot more hours and they get paid a lot more money. So I don't think it's going to affect us too much. Thank you.
Councillor Rawson?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, look, I agree. It's not a huge bag of money for us. I'll probably opt out. I don't really need the tiny amount of extra to go onto my superannuation, and I think it's perfectly acceptable for other councillors to make that decision for themselves. It doesn't need to be a blanket rule here, and I think we should just pass it as suggested by the staff. Yep, and leave it to individuals to make their decision.
Yep. I think it has a long history. Of probably, like you just said, the bigger councils have been fighting for this for a long time, and it's finally here, I guess. But you're right. It has been pointed out by the deputy general manager there that there's the option out. So if you don't want to do it, so yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. All right. Nothing further on that. I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Item 9 is the Cabonne Council Economy, Tourism and Culture Advisory Committee. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Jones. Yep. Yep. All right. Anybody wish to speak against that at all? No. All happy. Councillor Jones.
Can I just make a clarifying point, please?
Yeah.
Just on page 10 of item 9, obviously, on page 10, the second or the last paragraph before next steps, it reads that it's envisaged that the advisory council will meet biannually. That should probably change to bi-monthly, please.
Thank you.
I think it's just a typo, sorry.
Yep. That'll be amended accordingly. Thank you for that. All If there's nothing further, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that is carried. Item 10 is the Community Assistance Program 21-22 Round 2, and Councillor Paul has declared an interest in this matter and is leaving the room. Hang on a second, actually. We'll go down the list. Oh, if you like, we'll deal with that matter, and then you're out, and then that's it. So you're in and out. Not in and out, in and out. So if we just go down the list and we go straight to the item 2 of that, or sub-item 2, the application by Canowindra Preschool. Oh, I need to move in a second first, actually. Mover, Councillor Oldham, second by Councillor Rawson. Yes, item 2 is the application by Canowindra Preschool for $7,889.30. Does anybody wish to speak against that approval? Everybody's happy with that? Councillor Weaver?
It has been said to me, Mr Mayor, that it looks like an expensive project. And when you put 50-50 together, it's working at about $15,500. But books do take a fair bit of work, and to make them, you know, into a book that's sellable and presentable, I think it's quite good.
Mm.
And I think in the paragraph under the chart that we've got there, application 2 is recommended. However, the Community Economic and Cultural Committee raised concerns in relation to the project costs against the project outcome. The community and economy leader, I can't see it, hang on, sorry, has attempted to contact the applicant to discuss the possibility of lower costings for printing. If they can follow up with that, and if they could get a lower costing on the printing, can we look at it at coming in at a reduced amount or not?
Well, I guess so. But I mean, I think that we've been down this path before on previous similar applications. The printing
Is a costing.
it costs a lot of money,
Yeah.
and you pay for what you get.
Yep.
And I think that you know, if they've done their quotes, they've done their quotes, and that's the way it is. I think. I understand where you're coming from. But
Yeah. I haven't got a problem with it. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, I think that just needs to be talked about. And as you know, I wasn't at the workshop meeting, so I wasn't aware of it until I'd read this. So, but I'm quite happy with it.
Yep. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If I could just clarify, as Councillor Weaver has said, that we did have some discussions at that committee meeting. It was not that we were against the project. It was more just, was there better ways of helping them raise additional funding and increase their profit. I'm led to believe that there's since been some discussions with the preschool at Canowindra, and that there was some minor mistakes in their figures that they provided, and they actually have provided some additional information where their profit will be much larger, and their plan is to create quite a nice hard book cover for their cookbook. And so yeah, I think it was more just clarifying that was through the committee process, which also goes to show why it's important we have these committee meetings and the benefit that they're providing to council. But yeah, I'm pleased to hear that they will be making a much larger profit now that they've clarified their numbers. Thank you.
Can I ask you another question? And I don't know, is it on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether it's even any of our business, why do they need to raise so much money?
Well,
They've
I'd
got,
say-
the preschool is amazing. I'm not saying they can't, I'm just wondering why they need to.
Through you, Mr. Chair. The application itself talks about improving the facilities for the centre. Whilst there may be opinions on the quality of the facilities, either good or bad, the judgment of the community assistance program is on the improved benefits of that group and what it can provide to the Canowindra Township.
Thank you.
Councillor Nash.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I thought that was Yagara. I thought, oh dear, that's dear, you know, to get that book done. And then I went over there and I bought one. And it's beautiful, you know, it's hardcover and it's well worth the money that went into it. And I hope that Canowindra can do the same and make some money out of it, because, Catherine, being involved in preschool committees and things, you always need something new or something, you know, that's modern, maybe a new toilet block or something, yeah. So they always need the money, so I wish them all the best. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Can I just put this individual item 2 now? We've had this discussion, if everybody's happy. So I'll put that for the Canowindra Preschool. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Just get Andrew back in. Councillor Poole, we just dealt with that item that you declared an interest in, being the Canowindra Preschool and Kindergarten, so that was approved as per the funding recommendation. Thank you. All right, we'll move back to sub-item number 1, is the Kidal Community Children's Centre playground fencing. Any discussion on that at all? Apart from that, it's a good idea. All happy? All right. Everybody's happy with that. I'll put them individually, so all those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. The Cumnock Golf Club new oven for their kitchen. Everybody happy with that? Yep. Yep. Right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. The Cumnock Show Society new furniture for the pavilion, including tables and chairs of $5,000, and what a magnificent pavilion it is. That will dress it up quite nicely. So, any discussion on that any further? I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Seating in the park and assistance with design for the local railway station future from the Cumnock Progress Association. Any discussion on that at all? No? All happy? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried unanimously. The Molong Kidal Anglican Parish of Kidal and Molong church signage for roads. Any discussion on that at all?
Only to say, Mr Mayor, that I think it's a great thing, because a lot of people just don't know, you know, the signs are just not there. And I know at Cargo they also said there was nothing to show where the cemetery was at Cargo, so the more signs the better.
All right, thank you. Any further comments or discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. And the Mardia tree planting at Montana Park. Very good project again. Any discussion on that? No? All happy? All right, very good. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Well, it is carried. So all approved. Thank you, everybody. Item 11 is the sponsorship program, and Councillor Rawson's declared an interest and is leaving the room. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, second by, was that Councillor Poole? Yep. Anybody wish to speak against the sponsorship program to the Australian National Field Days? Very good thing, I think. Great for our tourism, our economy for our area, so very well worth sponsorship. Nobody wish to discuss that any further? I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That is carried. Councillor Rawson, that was passed as per the recommendation unanimously. Item 12 is the Events Assistance Program. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Oldham. Anybody wish to speak against that? For good cause? Yep. Thank you, everybody. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 13 is proposed change to the Floodplain Management Advisory Committee. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Oldham. Anybody speak against that, or any questions or discussion on that at all? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to support this particular change. I think that particularly with changes to climate occurring over the next few decades, that we need to address floodplain issues across all of Cabonne, rather than just have it specific to places like Molong. So I suspect that at some point down the track we'll start to see more of these issues cropping up all across the region. So I certainly support this. There was a mention in there about keeping the suggestion is to, excuse me for a second where I find it, is proposed to maintain the representation of council into the new committee structure, and councillors Jones and Oldham as alternate, which I think might be the wrong way around. Is that correct? That was fine when we decided that, because it was Molong specific, and to have people, councillors resident from Molong would have been appropriate for that. Now that this is more Cabonne specific across the whole of the area, I'd like to say that I'd be interested personally in being involved, particularly as I'm a fully trained fluvial geomorphologist, so it's an area of technical knowledge and interest. So that would be the only modification that I would suggest. I mean, obviously it would be dependent upon what council thought, but I'd certainly want to put my hand up.
Yeah, look, it's no problem, and I understand where you're coming from, and I guess it goes to all of our committees. There's nothing stopping each councillor from attending the meetings. It's just the vote. That's the only thing, I guess, that changes there. If you're nominated as the delegate, you have the voting right as the chair being the mayor, and as a councillor representative, or the alternate. So we have two votes on that committee, being the mayor position and an alternate councillor. So that's the only thing that would prevent, if you insisted on a change or a re-election of a committee. But any one of the councillors is quite welcome to attend any of those sort of meetings, and especially this one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, look, I've got no objection at all to current councillors being on that committee.
Yeah.
I would certainly like to attend the committee meetings. But if we were going to go down the route of, of having a re-election, if that was the decision, then I'd put my hand up.
Yeah.
That's all.
Fine. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Nash.
I'd just like to say that I think this is one of the best ideas that has come forth, really. We're trying to get everyone all in together as one Cabonne, and I think this is a good step forward, and I think that, to show all of the towns that we're interested in them all, not just one, and I think it's a great step forward.
Yeah. Oh, and I think at the last meeting of the Floodplain Committee, this was raised, and I passed comment at that especially in these other towns as well, we have some very, very good flood knowledge at the likes of Yagara and Canowindra, where they do suffer flooding, unfortunately. So it's a good opportunity now to tap into those people and have them on part of the committees as well, and to get their knowledge, especially their local knowledge of the local flooding. So I think it's a good idea. All right, anything further on that at all? No, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 14 is the strategic purchase of 12 Hill Street, Molong. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, second by Councillor Oldham. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Batten.
Just speak in favour of it, Mr Mayor, that I think it's actually one of the more strategic things we've done recently for the Molong community. I think when people in Molong actually get to learn exactly what the proposal is for this parcel of land, I think they're going to be quite supportive of it. It's going to fit in very nicely with the plan to beautify that area in Molong. Probably the best example that I can put is on the Monday of Easter, when we had the Molong markets and the main street, the number of RVs and caravans that were parked in the streets that will take advantage of what this is going to open up to us, I think is pretty important.
Yeah, no, thank you, Councillor Batten. I probably could endorse that a little bit further to say that I've already been approached by a business owner who's given that the thumbs up big time on that purchase. So opening up that back area. So all right, no further discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 15, Cabonne Council Roads Advisory Committee. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, thank you. Second by Councillor Jones, thank you. Pretty self-explanatory. Any comment on that at all? Councillor Rawson?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just also like to support the creation of this committee. I think it's an excellent idea. Similar to you mentioned in the previous item, I've spoken to people in the community who have been complaining about roads and I've mentioned this particular committee is coming up, and that which with the aim to provide a more objective view of the priorities about where road maintenance and construction needs to occur, and their response was positive, absolutely positive. So from the community that I've spoken to, feel that this is a good move. So I certainly support it wholeheartedly.
Thank you. No, I agree totally with you. It's a great idea. Any other comment on that? Councillor Nash?
I'd just like to say that this council's really going forward with some great ideas.
Well said. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 16 is the Employment Zone Reform Standard Instrument Local Environmental Plan. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, second by Councillor Nash. Anybody wish to speak against it? No? All right, any discussion at all other than we'll put it? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 17 is the Draft Standard Instrument Local Environment Plan Agri-Tourism Amendment Order. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, second by Councillor Batten. Thank you. Anybody wish to speak against that or no? Comment? Councillor Rawson, comment?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, really just a question about the inputs into this mass boiler are presumably timbers with chemicals within them. Wrong one? Sorry, maybe in the wrong one?
Yeah, we're in 17.
Oh, apologies, I pressed the wrong button. No, sorry.
After Farmgate premises. Farmstay.
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Councillor Batten.
Yeah, just like to make a comment. I think it's probably worthwhile noting, I mean, this does open up some fairly interesting opportunities for Cabonne, where agri-tourism potential is enormous. By the same time, I think it's also going to throw up some challenges for our planning department. So it's something that I think we're going to have to keep a bit of an eye on. Obviously, we've got issues in terms of being able to get sufficient planning staff into that team, and that's not not just limited to Cabonne, it's actually a problem across local government. But it's just something for us, I think, with the support from the Deputy GM services, we're going to have to stay across it pretty well, I think. Because there will be some people who probably see this as an opportunity to push the boundaries.
Another opportunity to push the boundaries. Planners, they love a challenge, don't they? All right, any further discussion on that at all? If not, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. All right, 18 is modification application DA 2014/0092/4 for a biomass fuel boiler at lot 270 DP 821835 Derauri Street, Manildra. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash of Manildra. Seconded, Councillor O'Ryan. Thank you. Anybody want to speak against it? Councillor Rawson, have you got a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm now in the right spot. No, look, really the question was the feed material into this, and the change is required for a feed change into to include timbers with presumably with chemicals in them. And I'm just really asking the question about what provisions there are being made to deal with those extra chemicals in the timber. And is there anything that council can do to control that in any way? And that was all.
Deputy General Manager.
Through you, Mr Chair, it's a prescribed, it's a EPA scheduled development, which means they actually hold the licensing power over it. So there is already is a EPA licence for the current facility. It will be amended to reflect this proposal, and has already been subject to a good 18 months, 2 years worth of trials, studies and investigations. So it will be well and truly controlled and regulated under the EPA state level requirements. And now our role is subservient to the EPA licensing, and the EPA licensing is all encompassing, which is both odour, noise and the capacity and scale.
Thank you.
Councillor Nash.
In the report, it states that the air quality and that is measured. Who actually measures that? Who actually controls the contaminant that come out of this? What blue treated and laminated wood?
Again, through you, Mr Chair, it does come back to the annual reporting to EPA. So there is a requirement for that, and the agency that it's reported to is EPA, along with any compliance or local concerns. As you would be aware, the hotline and all the rest of it, again, EPA are the control agency in that one.
Yeah, well, the EPA, I've had a bit to do with him. I'm just wondering, is there some way that they measure, like Manildra should have air control measures anyway. It's got that much dust and that in the air at any stage. But I'd just like to know, do they have to report to the EPA every month with the, well, how do they know that what they're burning is not going to hurt anyone?
I can, a copy of the environment licence is available on the website, but I can actually, I can send that, or obtain that information and send it to you separately. If you follow up on that interest, I can just research that and get it to you separately. Thank you.
Could I also have a copy of that, please?
I can make that available to all councillors, thanks.
No further discussion on that? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Oh. Yeah, I need it. It's a division too, so show of hands. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item 19 is medium density unit development, DA 2021/0262, lot 12 DP 730682 29 Ferguson Street, Canowindra. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Weaver, seconded by councillor O'Ryan. Anybody wish to speak against the recommendation there for the development? No? Councillor Rawson's in the go position.
I am in the go position, thank you, Mr Mayor. And I really, I think again, I support this idea, this particular development, because I think there is a need for this type of development if done properly. And I say that quite advisedly, done properly. What provisions do we have, what power do we have to determine what the streetscape look of these sorts of developments? Are they, because we're talking about Canowindra, we're talking about a town which has got a particular heritage appeal, and that's something that you wouldn't want to reduce or destroy in any way. And so therefore I feel that we should have some level of control over the streetscape of all the new developments within the town, not just within the main street. It's a beautiful town, and I certainly wouldn't want that to be impacted at all by any sort of new development with, you know, poor architectural standard and poor quality of workmanship. Is there any way in which we can control that?
Oh, well, I think it's the Deputy General Manager can speak more on this, but I think it is controlled through the planning department. They have certain standards they have to meet, and I know, for example, some of the developments that I've been in meetings with in Molong, and quite simply, you actually, as a person looking in, I sometimes go, I can't understand why there is an issue with this development. But then when it's pointed out by the planners that what they're looking at a bigger picture, and because they have a little subdivision that started, if that continues on the way it is started, and if it started poorly, you have this big subdivision that's quite ugly and not very attractive at all to people coming to buy into it. So I think that the planners do a good job in that respect in regards to looking at the whole big picture and what you're talking about. So that's the control measure, I think, but the Deputy General Manager could probably speak more on that.
Thank you, Mr.
For a short
Through
time.
you, Mr.
For a
Chair.
short time.
No, I'll only point out that basically I would hope council had a certain level of faith and trust in their planning staff. We are professionals, we are university trained, we have careers behind us, we have Department of Planning guidelines, we have laws and legislation. Largely dealing with a group of people with professional qualifications who are bringing our expertise and opinion to council. And I would hope to be able to draw upon the trust and the faith of council in our decision making and what we are tasked to do.
Through you, Mr Mayor, that was not in question. Absolutely. I mean, I fully understand your support for your own staff, of course. It's not in question. I'm just asking whether or not there are provisions that the council can, or some sort of, what the rules are, basically, to ensure that that any development like this is in keeping with the style of the town. We're talking about historic town, and I just want to make sure that occurs. I'm in support of this particular proposal. I'm just asking a question.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the level of scrutiny is probably not to the level you're suggesting, Councillor Rawson. The majority of planning, and to follow on from a comment from Councillor Batten on the agri-tourism, the majority of planning is heading towards checklists for complying development, which means that a greater number of developments won't come near council at all. So there already are standards in place. That's what I was suggesting earlier. There already are standards through the state environment planning policies which articulate how a structure, how a development will relate to a streetscape. When it is exempt and complying development, We don't have any say in that. That is already mandated at state government level. For the other instances, then we can use development control plans. But again, if it's a development that is exempt and complying development, it need only meet the criteria that are set at state level, which is a tick and flick. That does take into account how a building relates to a streetscape. So all of that is already there and set in legislation to be followed regardless of whether local government is the consent authority or not.
Councillor Paul.
Thank you. Just for everyone's benefit, there's a thing what I call the eye test, or a local knowledge test, of where you live in town and you can view what's going on. Just with this application, from experience, this is exactly what that part of the town needs. I know what you're talking about heritage, but heritage is more the southern area of the main street, but this part of the town, this is exactly what it needs, and it'll fit in absolutely perfect to other buildings already in that street. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Weaver.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I agree with that statement. The condition that land is in at the moment would be vastly improved by this application. So I'm in full agreement that council have and always have had the planning in place to fit the, what do we call it? Yes, the multi-dwelling type fixture. So now I'm in full favour of it. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just going to speak to it also. There's two other houses in really poor state of repair that have recently been sold along that stretch in the last couple of weeks, I'd say. We're looking at that, but you know, Canandaigua is desperate for housing, and this is a really efficient way of building affordable housing within the community, I think.
Very good, thank you. All right, it's a division, so I'll need a show of hands. So I'll put that. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item 20 is the planning proposal, proposed rezoning of 1583 Burrendong Way, Mayan Creek from RU1 primary production to R5 large lot residential. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Poole. Thank you, both. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Nash.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great thing for Mullion Creek. It sounds, you know, this is an area that's really going ahead, and yeah, I'm all for it.
Thank you. No further discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. No. No, it's only proposal. Item 21 is the Orange City Council request for a comment planning proposal at Rosedale. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Thank you. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Nash.
I've just got some questions. Does this impact our shire at all? Is Clergate Road or whatever, is it in Cabon at all?
Through you, Mr Chair, this is forms the border between Orange City and Cabon along Pierces Road, Pierces Lane. So our side, the northern side, is general primary production, where we have some established orchards and farmland. This of course brings large lot residential right up to that boundary. And what I'm suggesting is that we actually approach Orange City seeking some assurance that there will be some buffer treatment to allow a transition between residential and our rural lands. So conflict of land use, yes, you will have residential allotments right up to the boundary with Cabon, where we then have general primary production land.
Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, look, I would certainly support the council's view on this, that this is butting right up against rural land, and there needs to be a buffer. They've got in this plan residential right up onto the back boundary of orchards, but what I can see here, and that's going to become a bit of a conflict. And so there really should be a redesign of this current subdivision plan, and I certainly support this view.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Batten.
Yeah, I'll just make a comment and speak in favour of this. I think the particular area we're talking about in terms of that northern precinct of Orange, to have some large lot residential out there, in my view, will actually improve the amenity of that area if it's done effectively. Yes, we need to note that it's actually potentially in conflict with our right to farm, but that needs to be made very, very clear in our submission to Orange City Council, so that that is then made clear to any developer who actually gets involved in this. But we should also note it's not inconsistent with what we've actually been doing at Mullion Creek. So it is actually on the road from Orange through to Mullion Creek. So I actually, in this case, would propose that we support it, and with those riders that I've just mentioned.
Thank you. No further discussion? Yep.
Sorry, just a clarification. I don't think it is large lot residential, is it? It's just residential, isn't it? The concept
Through you, Mr.
subdivision,
Chair, it says 700 lots of large lot residential.
what's the size of each lot?
I think they're around 400 square metres, but I'd have to check.
$4,000? 400?
4,000.
4,000. Yeah, 4,000. 4,000.
Sorry, 400 sounded like just small, tiny.
Yeah, 4,000 to 8,000.
Through the chair, I support this as well. I'm with Peter. I mean, this will happen anyway, probably, but you know, 700 places, more people. It's, you know, and as you said, it's not a useful sort of land, is it? Like, it's not used for real good agriculture. So, you know, we may as well put people there, I suppose.
All right, yeah, no, look, just go back to the recommendation that we're submitting to Orange Council to request that consideration given to proposing rezoning of the land. So it's only a proposal from us. It's not, we're not making a decision on it. So, all right, no further discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 22 is a modification to DA 2021/0176/1 subdivision of land at 9 Ostini Lane, Mullion Creek. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Batten. Anybody wish to speak against the recommendation? Well, okay. All right. It's a division, so I'll need a show of hands. All those in favour? Unanimously, thank you. Item 23 is questions for next meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody have any questions for next meeting? No? Right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 24 is the business paper items for noting. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. Does anybody wish to call out any of those papers for noting to discuss at all? Not at all? All right. Well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 25 is the matters of urgency. Can I just have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody have any matters of absolute urgency? Nope. Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 26 is committee of the whole section of the meeting. We don't have any, but I need a move and a second for that. Moved by Councillor Oldham, second by Councillor Weaver. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Now, could you just move to your supplementary item, which is item 27, late supplementary item. Is everybody with me on item 27, supplementary? Everybody with me? Everybody's right? So it's item 27, New South Wales Local Government Destination and Visitor Economy Conference 2022. Could I just have a mover for that item, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, second by Councillor Oldham. So the recommendation is that we nominate 2 council delegates to attend the conference, which is in our local area. Orange, Blaney and Cabon is hosting. So we need 2 nominations. Yes.
I'd like to nominate Jamie, Councillor Jones and Councillor O'Ryan.
So yeah, well, look, we can have as many nominations as we like, and we can go to a vote if we have to.
I would certainly like to nominate to go to that.
Yep. Yep. So was all 3 keen to go?
To make life easier, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to decline my nomination. Thank you.
You sure?
Yeah, that's fine. Honestly, Councillor Oldham is very keen in this space, and I would just say also it's fantastic that we are hosting or jointly hosting a conference like this to showcase what our region has to offer. Thanks.
All right. Does anybody else wish to nominate? So we've got 2. We've had 3. Jamie's declined respectfully. So. Well, it doesn't have to be. No.
With Catherine O'Ryan's a good fit too, being involved with the Orange 360 as a backup delegate. They're all tied, so he'll be a good fit, and certainly Libby has my support.
All right. Well, I think we'll leave it at that. We've got two nominations.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just also reassuring councillors that you can attend the dinner that's at that night. So the limit of 2 spaces is for the actual conference itself.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, what about the site visits? Can any of us go to those?
Good question.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the attendance at the site visits is for the conference attendees. I'm sure if you happen to go to one of the cafes at the same time, though.
Just happened to be walking past, yeah. All right, so we've got Councillor Oldham and Councillor Ryan nominated. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you, Councillor Jones, for making that a little bit easier.
My pleasure.
Item 28 is the Events Assistant Program, UGARA Annual Murals Meet. Can I have a mover for that, please? Moved by councillor Weaver, second by councillor Jones. And the recommendation is there in front of everybody. Very, very good, worthwhile event. Anybody want to discuss that at all? Councillor?
Just make a comment that I get around a lot with me sport travels and things like that, and wherever I go, Eugowra gets a mention when they find out where I'm from the murals, and it's really important to recognise the positives, and this is certainly one of the positives at Cabonne.
Absolutely. Very well said, yeah. I think I'll put that because I think you've already been in favour. All those in favour? Against, that's carried.